Oh my god.
Welcome to Area 51's pregame show for Saturday. We're looking forward to a 7 p.m. puck drop against the Oilers tonight in Vancouver, where we ultimately get to see Thatcher Demko, being one of the top 5 goaltenders in the league right now, facing up against a top 4 offensive team in Edmonton with some really hot Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. They've got a lot of weapons right now that are rolling. So it's going to be an interesting one in Vancouver tonight. Obviously, we've got with us returning again, Josh from Avid Discussers, Malcolm from Point Shot, Hassan from Cap Space Wins Cups, and our rookie, Hussein, who thanks again for the awesome introduction video that you made for us. I feel like we shout that out every single day that we do this show, but it deserves it every single time. So welcome to the pregame show, man.
Thanks for having me, boys.
You bet. So, I mean, obviously a lot of storylines coming into this one. The Canucks have an enormous task ahead of them. Playoffs seem pretty much out of reach at this point. I think we can all agree to that. But what needs to be done tonight in order to collect a W?
Well, I guess, obviously our best players have to be our best players, considering our worst players aren't even playing tonight. I guess, Sautner, admittedly, I haven't even actually looked at the lineup. I guess I probably should have done that. Busy day. But again, whoever they end up throwing in there at that, bottom right-hand shot, fourth liners, it's going to be an interesting experience to see how they adapt. Of course, we did that with Bieksa, I remember, kind of 10 years back or whatever now. Obviously he was, I guess we've seen Biega do it too. So it's not like it's completely unprecedented. But again, against the Oilers, it's troublesome to say the least. Naturally, the bets that I have just placed, thankfully, for that 2-minute warm up, I went fairly simple with it. And there's a lot of McDavid, a lot of Draisaitl, and a lot of Edmonton over related bets.
I would hop on the stats for Demko over saves. I like that what Brad's got there, 35 plus saves. I think you can get Demko at take the over at 26.5 for sure on Demko saves. If the Canucks won't even want a shot at the win, that might not be enough tonight. But I think that Malcolm's right. I mean, the best players got to be the best players for the Canucks tonight. I think JT Miller, maybe you don't punch a guy in the face and go off the extra 5 minutes when Sutter's hurt. I think we might need our number one line center tonight. But
that's one way to go, of course.
Who needs depth?
Now, not to, of course, poo-poo Brad's bet, but I also kind of suspect, is this going to be the game that the Oilers don't take us super seriously and therefore aren't necessarily getting that many shots and going, we can play a 5-minute or a 10-minute window here, score a couple goals and win this game. So, again, that's what I'm a little beware in some of these games that, obviously you're expecting the Canucks pushback, especially after that last loss, but also, do they even have the weapons to supply that pushback? So is it even realistic to try to, put that on them with, this? Again, it's obviously it's not an ideal scenario.
Far from
Who has something positive to say? Because I'm struggling to come up with it. Of course, my boy Godet's still not in the top 6 on the right wing. What are they going to try to do? I assume we'll probably see lines in a blender, so it's obviously not that huge big a deal because I'm sure we'll probably see some looks with him with not Sutter. The place that offense goes to die. So. It's we're going to need Demko. That's I guess the other thing that has been somewhat pointed out here. But unless he absolutely stonewalls the guys, which again they have a lot of high end weapons, but he's done it before. But that's obviously what we're going to need tonight. A staunch defensive effort, really trying to limit their chances. So best case scenario probably isn't the most an exciting game to watch for us. It's going to be a 2-1 grinded out win with an ugly rebound goal or something like that.
Well, and that's the thing too. Pettersson, on top of, our bottom 6 being completely riddled, right? Like, I haven't also checked the lineups or seen confirmations for the lineups, but obviously Sutter, Roussel, and Beagle were all missing from morning skates. So there's a lot.
That really shouldn't be that big a deal.
Sounds like Sutter's gonna go for the Canucks though.
For all the crap.
Though.
Yeah, he'll play, I'm sure. But that's the thing though, is like for how much smack that we talk.
I guess you're talking about those guys. I'm talking from Travis Green's perspective more, but
there's just nobody else, right? Like this is the thing about coming into this season was just how important depth was going to be. And injuries were going to happen at some point. We've actually been incredibly lucky up until now. And now we just got whacked with the injury bug really quick and really hard. And we'll see what happens. We're obviously going to be icing a defenseman as a wing today, which is fantastic. I think if I'm searching for positives here, we're facing Koskinen. Right, Koskinen isn't great.
Absolutely.
That's a perk, right? Demko's been hot, but the problem is last game the team didn't necessarily help him out. We're really grasping for straws at this point, but that's kind of where we're at, and unfortunately, like Malcolm was right.
Sorry, I got absorbed in the black hole with Malcolm there.
Yeah, you guys got Thanos snapped for a second there. No, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because
we did. Yeah, we got blipped.
Ultimately,
there, I'm not sure what the last thing you guys said was.
Oh yeah, no, we're just talking about if it's going to be a win for the Canucks. It's going to be a really tight, scrappy kind of win. Really testing our depths. We're grasping at straws here for positives, right? So like let's start there. Like if you're coming into this game and you're looking for a positive for the Canucks, what is something that you're
kind of what we just saw against Toronto, right? I guess it'd be similar to that, right? You got to kind of grind out the victory.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nice part, right, is that Edmonton's not exactly the deepest team either. So if you're able to limit some of the guys, obviously that's easier said than done too with Draisaitl and McDavid. But if you're able to at all limit them, I mean, that's a really good start for the Canucks moving forward. But that's just it. Is we have one really scantily deep team facing one that's also not boasting a lot of depth, but obviously much deeper and stronger than the Canucks currently.
And you gotta try to keep McDavid and Draisaitl in check for at least the whole game. Because remember what happened last time? They were quiet for like 2 periods, and then we all know what happened in the third. So you gotta do it for the whole game, not just the first period, not just the second, the whole game. But it's easier said than done.
And that's the real concern, right? Yeah. And that's where I was going. With maybe Demko doesn't need or isn't going to get over 35 shots tonight because they kind of know in the back of their head, well, we didn't need to play a full 60 minutes last time to beat these guys, and especially when they see no Pettersson and they see I'm sure they've had a chuckle in their locker room about a defenseman playing on the bottom six. So. Again, that's the real problem here is that they can quick strike and win this game in the mere 5-6 minute stretch. So again, it's Josh, you nailed it there. It's going to be literally the entire game. You have to be every single shift focused. And again, obviously that's going to be a hell of an ask out of this group.
But then the other big thing's going to be special teams, don't you guys think? I think I just read a stat this morning. The Canucks are like 0 for 13 or 0 for 17 on their power play in the Edmonton series. I mean, we all know if the Canucks don't win their special teams battle, they pretty much have no chance of winning any game. The 5-on-5 play is just not there to back it up.
Especially with this much depth, right? Like with Pettersson out, with Beagle out, all in all, with Beagle
man, we're gonna miss Beagle.
We're gonna miss him.
But that's your PK, right? Like that's who Green relies on for the PK.
He's on the PK show. I'm sure we could find someone to replace him. I don't think we're gonna be too
run out 4D. We've got it.
Yeah, I think the power play is more concerning.
So let's jump into.
I actually have a question about the power play to you guys. What do you guys think of the Canucks power play setup and the way it's being constructed right now? I know we had the 1-3-1 forecheck joke in there, but is the 1-3-1 being deployed the most efficiently it can be by Newell Brown right now in terms of the personnel he has? And you guys think maybe because what was that? Was that the 5-on-3 that against Montreal? It was a completely inept.
I can't watch that again.
Besser wasn't even in the shooting spot for most of it. Like, why is Horvat the one handling the puck up high so much? That's not really his spot. I didn't get that. Like, where do you guys think? How do you guys think the Canucks power play should be lined up? What?
I'll let you guys take this one first.
Well, I know last year the Canucks definitely had a good second unit. I think that was a lot of big reason for why they had such a successful power play. But I think right now, especially with Pettersson now, you got to drop Pierce into the second unit and put Höglander on the first one for sure. I'm not sure if it's as much of how they're set up. I think you're right. The personnel is not correct. I think Höglander should be there. And I think with Pettersson out, I guess get Miller and Besser on opposite sides, get Hughes up top, and keep Bo Horvat in the bumper spot. We've seen it work so many times. And, right now, this power play, this year especially, the power play has been awful. I don't think Horvat's even getting enough looks in the bumper slot. I'd say, especially with Pettersson out, there's no one-timer that you have to really worry about it. I try to feed it more to Horvat for now.
Yeah, again, it's unfortunately it's a situation where we have limited options, especially with Pettersson out. Horvat's been given a chance and, obviously hasn't really produced there. So, in the spirit of switching it up and trying something, obviously I like your suggestion of trying to, put Besser there, who I think is, it's either him or Demko, who's been our MVP to this point. So, again, putting the puck in the best player's hands seems to make, a lot of logical sense. So, again, if something's not working, why are we continuing to try to lot that out? So
yeah, exactly. Like you guys both said, both of you, Malcolm and Hoos, both there said that without the threat of the one-timer for Pettersson, it kind of makes the power play a little more one-dimensional. Like, why not get Besser on one side then and put him in the one-timer spot? Like, even if it's not Pettersson levels, at least there's a threat of the shot coming from that side.
Last game too.
Yeah, last game.
The last game you saw it worked. If you get a good pass to
Yeah.
Brock Besser, I mean, people like the joke that the guy doesn't have a good one-timer, but I mean, there's been times where if he gets a good pass, he can hammer it. So I mean, put him in the give him the opportunity to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and you know who else?
Speaking of shooting,
go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I may have
passing
been
way too
making the
much.
same point. I may have been making the same point that you were gonna there, Sean, and this may sound cliche at this point coming from me, but again, why don't you put Gaudette in his shooty spot and get him to do his shooty spot? You know,
Why not?
like
That was my point.
Maybe he is one-dimensional, but hey, that one dimension is pretty good in that situation. So there's your one-timer guy, and then do whatever it is you want, whatever other combination. Like Hoglander, to dig the pucks out to supply that hustle to it as well. I'm willing to try that as well. But that would probably be, of course, what I'm going to try at least first.
I mean, like, the thing is about Besser is, like, we've seen him have success from that left circle, even if it's not in a one-timer capacity. And everybody this season's been raving about Besser MVP. Besser's looking like his rookie self. Like, even if, like, on the power play, you don't need to necessarily have a one-timer to score. Lots of players take that extra second to load the wrist shot and let it go if you can get him in a position to get that shot off. So, I mean, I don't know if Brock Besser is being utilized to his full. We're Shannon on the left side there.
I love that.
I don't know if Besser is being utilized to his full potential, playing that kind of low, below the goal line situation. Because, like, you guys think of Brock Besser as, like, a great puck distributor or something? I don't know. I mean, I think Josh wanted to say something about that. I don't know if you guys want to hop in on that.
You know what? I'm with Malcolm on. I would put Gaudette in that shooting spot because I mean we've seen him historically in that exact same spot as Pettersson, taking those shots. You throw Besser on the other side, you have a guy that's able to swing down low, feed that bumper pass, or come back up top and be another shooting option. But it gives you options, right? And then you throw in Horvat. Horvat should never move much. Like he should be
100%
in the middle and just moving, keeping the box moving on the PK. Hughes obviously at the top, and then you throw somebody like Miller on the baseline to feed that. And him and Horvat or him and Besser can switch spots and create movement and havoc on that power play. That's a big thing that's been missing for me on the power play is movement.
Well, I mean, you say that, and I agree with what you're saying. Put Gaudette and Besser maybe as the two guys in the circle, but I think that's one thing that JT Miller definitely does better than anyone who plays there. Is that even when he's on the half wall side, you see him like loop up to the blue line and come back down, or fake that one timer and drop it back to Hughes. I think that's something that not enough guys who are on the half wall do. You can definitely see he definitely creates the movement when he's out there. So I can see why you would want to keep him there anyway.
Yeah, and I mean with Miller, I mean you've got the option of somebody that's very versatile on your power play, which is a bonus, right? So you know that you have three guys that can play at different spots on your power play, and Hughes, Besser, and Miller. And so I would have those guys moving as much as they can, have Horvat trying to swing the box, and then have Gaudette just sitting there waiting for an open shot. But, I mean, you could have either Miller or Besser on the baseline. You could have them on the half wall. Honestly, I'm even comfortable having them right up top if they're moving around with Hughes as well. So I think that's going to be a key for getting the power play going again is not just the movement in the box, but also the entries as well, which we know has been a huge issue for them.
Yeah.
I mean, no more drop passes, right, guys? Are we all in agreement that we're done with the drop pass?
There's no more of that.
Yeah.
Even my wife goes like, "Why do they keep doing that?" And she is not much of a hockey fan, and even she can see the folly in that.
I mean, I don't know. Is the drop pass like really bad? Like, if it was so trash, like, why does almost every team in the NHL utilize it to some degree of the power play? I do agree that kind of the Canucks, the problem is they skated up, and then you have four guys standing still in the blue line, and you dropped it back to one guy skating at full speed. So it kind of doesn't make sense that way. But I mean, like, even when the Sedins were around, the drop pass was a thing, and it worked a lot of times with some of the most successful power plays in the NHL. I mean, I think it needs some adjustments.
Yes.
I think it needs some adjustments for sure, right? I'm not saying don't get me
like
wrong.
the number of offsides, like the number of offsides that are created that just kill momentum on a power play. For that alone, it's like again, like Edler, maybe you get a little bit fast service, slap shot, but go back to some of these stronger sticks kind of cliches, because it's just like it's not worth it because we know what's going to happen. So and then the other thing that you kind of always pointed to is everyone else is flat-footed. So there's no team speed coming in, which it should be effective essentially, again, to try to create some momentum and have that opening rush. Again, when you come in and kind of, work your cycle, teams, get to settle in and get into their defensive structure as well. The opportunity to kind of strike when they're, not setting their feet is off that rush. So that's at least why I don't love the drop pass. And then of course, because we execute it poorly would be the second reason. But, again, that's, kind of the premise, at least behind my argument. If it didn't have those two things, I'd say, figure out a way to make it work. But again, that's why, I don't like it at least.
Well, that's the frustrating with the Canucks power play. Like, if you could build the perfect power play, personnel-wise, the Canucks pretty much have almost everything you need, or they do. You have maybe Quinn Hughes doesn't have a booming shot, but he can walk the line among the best of the league. He's a great passer. I mean, I'm talking fully healthy here. You've got Pettersson with a great shot on one side, Besser, and they're the opposite hand. You've got JT Miller. You've got Horvat, who's like one of the best bumper finishers in the entire NHL. Like, you have all the pieces there. Like, I feel like it shouldn't be that difficult to get a reasonably effective power play with the amount of talent the Canucks have on that first unit. Even with Pettersson out, like, you throw Hoglander on there should still be more than enough talent on that first unit to score consistently.
Yeah. Well, and here, like, we'll talk about this entry a little bit more. There's two things that I have issues with the Canucks consistently going to the drop pass. It's not necessarily even the drop pass itself is bad, because when it works, like you said, when it works beautifully, and a lot of other teams implement it. It's that's their one entry strategy, right? Like, even when it's not working and we know that there's teams cheating on it, we're still like turning around looking for the drop pass because we have no other plan. Like, that is it.
Yeah.
Right. We need to have like 2 to 3 different options that all look fairly similar, but aren't the same as far as zone entry, so that the defensive the PK unit can't just set up like the 90s style trap in their own end. Right. And that's exactly what they do. Right. Like, I don't know how many, Malcolm, of course, you'll remember the 90s trap. But like, it was devastating, right? Like, they would just bog down. They would all stand in place and wait for you to come to them, and they would just pin you in a corner and flick the puck back down the ice again. And that's what happens when your only entry is the drop pass, because then they just sit there and camp and wait for you. They're already set up in their box. You're not set up on your power play, so now you have to drive past 4 guys, creating like this Berlin Wall in front of you, and then set up, and you can't dump and chase because they're already deep in the zone waiting for you. Like, it cuts a lot of your options off. That's why, like, I like when they have the variant where one of them will just fake like they're going to drop and then just speed right into the zone and set up, right? Or they pass off to a guy that's flat-footed but inside the blue line, waiting for that kind of bumper pass to get everything set up again, right? It's those kind of variants that allow you to gain an entry no problem, and allows you to consistently use the drop pass as a good and effective entry. Unfortunately for the Canucks, a lot of what we've seen is that it's do or die on that one play, on that one entry. And if it doesn't land, then you're offside, or you're back in your own zone picking it up from Demko again. So, like,
to your point, throw in a dump and chase. Like, at least it again then sets the people off their positional play, forces them skate backwards, and you've switched it up a little bit. So again, as you said, they can't just sit up there in the 90s trap and a Berlin Wall reference. That was really well done, Sean. I just had to point that out. that was very well
Showing
done.
My age
appropriate reference. Man, yeah, that has to be pointed out.
You know what though? Like, I wanted to kind of point out. I know we all laughed when Ryan commented the hope and the prayer with Vertan on the left. But if you're going to implement a dump and chase in your arsenal, why not throw Virtanen out there and instruct him that you're going to come in full speed and you're going to crank the guy in the corner that retrieves the puck.
Nah, he'll peel to the bench.
But that's
too much skating. Too much skating this time.
That's the old Team Canada strategy, though.
He's just gonna stand there and watch a dump. Like, when has Jake Virtanen ever done that in his career? Like, just fly in, blast through a guy on the wall.
But has he ever been this desperate? Has he ever been lifting off Canucks Twitter mid-game and, really, how's Stefan doing? Like, we checked his pulse. Like, I think, it's getting to a different level that he is a little bit more desperate to be here. And the true genius is in this plan simplicity. It's not hard for Jakey Boy to remember, skate your ass off and hit whoever gets the puck, right? So
we saw him do it with World Juniors with Team Canada. Remember? Like, I know we're a long ways removed from that, and I don't want to be like, oh, there's still, like, Jake
remember that time he did it in junior, yeah.
But, 30-goal Jake is around the corner, guys. Just wait.
We just need 18-year-old Sam Bennett to join him. You know what, though, is like, I'm with Malcolm. The plan is beautiful in its simplicity. You implement one strategy that's like the old Team Canada World Junior strategy, and that's just like, and I would do it for your first power play of the game, just to be like, hey, we're here, wake up, and this is what our power play is going to look like. And then
and we're not doing exactly what you're expecting.
I think the larger point you guys make is when Sean, you were saying that, like, there should be like 3 or 4 different options when you're dropping the power play. Like, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you said they're married to one thing, and that's what they're gonna do. Like, who's like, you were playing minor hockey, like on a rep team, like your coach is coaching up a power play, and you're the defense. You play defense, you're carrying the puck. He's always telling you, okay, here are your 3 options on this power play. He did not say do the same damn thing every time. Like, this is the NHL. I feel like it shouldn't be that difficult to come up with more than one break-in and zone entry on the power play. And I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this Cale Makar highlight where he was on the power play, like when he very first came in the NHL, and he faked that drop pass in defense. The forward came up behind him because he thought for sure he's going to drop it, and he just went behind him, and he totally faked it. He just went. Like, Quinn Hughes has the ability to do that. And
I was just about to say that. That's
like, why don't you mix that in? Like, literally, they're dropping the pass, and there's a guy waiting from the other team behind them to take it, and they're still doing it. I just don't understand, like, how difficult it is to come up with like a 3 or 4 different strategies to break into the zone. And like you guys said, like, if that is too difficult, how hard is it to come up with like an old dump and chase once in a while?
No, I agree. That's frustrating. That's frustrating. Because when the Sedins were here and Alex Edler was running the power play, people always said, oh, if Edler was a better skater, how good would this power play be? Now we have like the best skater in the NHL quarterbacking our power play. And we're like, you know what? Let's get him to stand still after he gives it to Brock Besser.
Well, and that's just it, too. We're picking the wrong guy to drop to.
To drop the puck to,
It shouldn't be Bo Horvat, and it shouldn't be Brock Besser, and it shouldn't be JT Miller. It should be Pettersson when healthy, and it should be Hughes when he's healthy, obviously. But those are the 2 guys.
Miller's shown great zone entry numbers. I think he's almost a one-man zone entry number. I think Miller would. I don't think he's terrible to go to Miller. But I mean, I agree with you. I think it should be your most skilled. It should either be your most skilled player or your fastest player on a night-to-night basis. So I have to go with dropping Pettersson.
Well, there's times where it's worked where they just get the line with speed. It was in the Toronto series, wasn't it, where Besser scored? Like, JT Miller got the pass from Bo Horvat, like, right in the neutral zone. No drop pass this time. Then Miller just drives out wide, and all of a sudden, Brock Besser's standing, like, wide open in the slot.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And then we went back to the drop pass for the
We're like, hey, that worked.
Hey,
let's not do it again.
Back to the original
Let's not do it again.
All right.
It kind of reminds me, of the no-move that my, defenseman back when I was playing used to do. That that's what we called it. And it was like, people would anticipate that he's going to do something. And then when he didn't do something, that threw them off. So it's almost kind of like the same theory that, like, you may think that we're going to throw something different at you because you solved it last time, but we're going to throw that same fastball right at you and see if you got it. And they still got it.
Yeah. That's perfect. Well, before we switch gears, because I know we want to jump in, I know Ryan's been commenting on the penalty kill. I feel like we've covered the power play pretty well. We're just going to throw to High Stick Vodka, and then we'll come back and discuss the other special team.
Allow me to introduce High Stick Vodka, a new way to celebrate victory. gather around the glass with an award-winning, ultra-premium Canadian-made vodka. You probably won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka has a smooth, hard-hitting taste, or that it's developed in the birthplace of hockey. You won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka is a tribute to the game of hockey, or when I tell you it's distilled 4 times using Canada's purest mountain spring water to provide an authentic, remarkable flavor. But maybe you will listen when I say it comes in a fucking hockey stick. Showcase your passion for hockey with our limited edition hand-blown hockey stick bottle. Whether you're celebrating victory or drinking to defeat, High Stick Vodka is better after every shot. Visit us at highstickvodka.com. It also comes in this regular bottle. Celebrate victory. Drink responsibly.
I feel like we need the uncensored version, you know?
Yeah, I know. I still laugh every time. So kind of jumping into the penalty kill here. I like this from Ryan here because not only is this finding silver linings, but it is something that I want to see as well. And that's potentially seeing Zach McEwen getting an opportunity on the penalty kill. And I think I like the last line here, maybe convince Jim that other guys can kill penalties too. I've been in for the last 3 hours talking about how it was unnecessary to spend big on Jay Beagle. But here we are still fighting 2018, 2017 signing choices. So excellent. What do you guys think about what the Canucks can do as far as penalty kill deployment goes?
That is actually that's the perfect silver lining point to make, really. Again, we normally have these guys that they won't take out of the lineup. Finally hurt, and obviously I don't mean Pettersson when I'm saying this, that forces Zach McEwen not only to have a more regular role, because that's another thing that I've been beating a dead horse over since the bubble. It seems that Zach McEwen should be a regular in our lineup. I really thought, with the fight against Forbert, that he cemented that role, but somehow he found himself out of the lineup. But I digress. So this is great to see. This is a great point, and to see him on the PK, hopefully, should give him some confidence, because I have faith that he can succeed given the opportunity in that role. And obviously, again, with Sutter and Beagle and Roussel, he certainly wasn't getting that opportunity, because that's where those good old boys earn their stripes and earn those $3 million contracts on that pretty average PK. So
I think
high paid Berta boys.
I think Malcolm's bang on here with his you got to give the other guys a chance. And I mean, honestly, is penalty killing that difficult in NHL? It's mostly just standing around and blocking passing lines. I really don't think it should be that hard to find people to do it.
Well, not against our power play.
I mean, yeah, it depends who you're facing.
I think that's a good point. I think the Canucks need to get some younger players involved in the penalty kill at some point, and I think why not give it a chance. I feel like it should be working all right. And I think the last line that Ryan's text there says, where he says, "I convinced Jim that other guys can take penalties." I don't think Jim. I'll be honest. I don't think Jim Benning is the one that needs convincing on these guys to take penalties. I think Travis Green is the one who's reluctant to hold on to these Beagles and Sutters. I mean, I know Benning signed them to these ridiculous contracts, but I don't think Jim Benning's coming down and they're like, we got to get these guys in the peak. I think Travis Green's the one who's saying that he trusts the Beagles and the Sutters and the Roussels of the world for whatever reason, that he wants them to be killing penalties. I mean, which is completely asinine in my opinion. You just get a okay staff guy and teach him how to kill a penalty. It shouldn't be that hard. Just get in the passing lane and go forecheck a little bit and dump it out when you get the puck. There's 4 instructions. I feel like Jake Buchanan should have the skill set to kill a penalty, honestly. So, I mean, I think Travis Green's the one. I'm glad that you kind of taking his toys away, even if it's by injury, that he's going to be kind of forced to use some of these young players, and let's see what they got in them.
I was just going to ask, so now, aside from McEwen, who else would you deploy there?
Howard
Luck. I like that.
I think Michaelis. If they give Michaelis a chance.
I like that as well. I like Michaelis getting an opportunity there.
I also like the idea of having someone who's an offensive threat on the power penalty kill. So a JT Miller, I wasn't gonna go Gaudette on that one. Yeah, no, fair enough. But I believe it or not, that was the one time I wasn't gonna suggest Adam Gaudette. But JT Miller, I think seizes that role. He's played a bit, but I like to see him more consistently on there.
I think there's only gonna be two spots.
Yeah, I agree
anyway.
here.
I think Pearson and Miller are both gonna be penalty killing for sure today, and Ericsson's in the lineup, isn't he? That's really 3 spots already. So I think there's only gonna be one more spot where Travis Green's gonna have to make a decision anyway.
But that being said, with how the Canucks and really everybody in the North have been called and penalized this season, you're probably going to need at least 2 decent units to go to, right?
Yeah.
At least, right? Yeah, and even then, you're going to need how often is a guy like Edler on your PK, but he's also the guy that's in the penalty box, right? So you're going to have multiple pieces that can be plugged in. And I like the suggestion here of Höglander coming in too.
I don't know about that. Neither do I.
You don't, really? How come?
Okay, well, I think there's a lot of responsibility that goes on playing both sides. How many players in NHL on their team night in, night out, play first power play unit and kill penalties regularly for the team? It's too much.
But Höglander's not on the first power play.
I mean, even if he still takes more offensive responsibility, and he's on a line right now with Miller and Besser that does have to play a bit of a tougher matchup. So, I mean, I think ice time management is a thing, and I think I don't Pettersson has a great two-way profile, but I don't think I'd want him killing penalties and playing 28 minutes a night. It wears you down too much. And I'm not sure Höglander's skill set is necessarily the most ideal for a PK. The kid's got a work rate that is almost unmatched. But I mean, I think I'd want to see that more on a forecheck and an offensive system than I would want to see it on a PK. I don't know if that's what Malcolm was going to say, but I'm not sure I like the Höglander on the PK.
Yeah, it's about setting him up for success. It's he's a rookie. We're all already asking him to do a hell of a lot. And the PK is one of those ones that any little mistake you make ends up glaring and often in the back of your net. So I think it's a little bit that is, we've already asked this guy probably more than we should have. So I wouldn't also add PK duty to that.
I agree.
Just workload rate.
I agree with both of what you guys just said, and I think realistically, I don't think it's going to happen either. Because just the way Travis Green is, he definitely does like his more veteran guys. We've just been joking around the whole time now about the Beagles and Sutters, and I mean, even you go back to the last couple of games when Canucks are pulling their goalie, and I still I'm looking on the ice, I'm like, why is Höglander not on here? Tanner Pearson's playing instead of Nils Höglander, or even on the first power play unit. I know I've been saying that since Pettersson's been out. I'm saying, why is Tanner Pearson the next guy up on PP1? So I mean, I don't even think he has that full trust with Green yet. That Travis Green will put him on in the PK anyway.
Yeah, what's Malcolm drinking there? Is that high-tech vodka?
It is not, but it is the only other thing that I possibly ever drink.
Sure, just said yes. I'm gonna. It's clear enough. He's always high-tech vodka. See, I'm
gonna be a contrarian.
I thought it was too obvious.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a contrarian here. I think they should give him a look on the penalty kill. And the reasoning is because I think his skill set is perfect for it. And that's his board battles. How many board battles have we seen Höglander lose this season? Can you think of one?
Very, very few.
Really,
I can't think of many.
Few enough.
Right? So to me, to have somebody that's a man possessed on the boards on that wall, pressuring, I want that. And I know it's easy to lean on the veterans for PK duties, and we've seen Green go to that well always, right? And I think honestly we start seeing guys like Pearson there more than we see Höglander even come into his brain for this. But I think his skill set is perfect for the penalty kill. And you know what I think about guys like Michael Grabner when he transitioned from being kind of like a forechecking dynamo with his speed to being a lethal PK guy that could burn you with that speed after he had pressured you and to cough up the puck. I see that potential. Obviously he doesn't have the blazing speed, but he has that pressure and he's got the hands. How many times have we seen him win a board battle and then successfully lob it up to somebody that's on the rush? I look at that. You're going to have to look at every option to have an edge right now, especially.
I see what you're seeing, but I think you also, with the Grabner example, kind of hit on the points that make this different that we're also making. Of course, developed into, I'm not going to look it up, but I'm going to guess it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 25, 26 that he, developed that defensive game, on his third team after, of course, clearing waivers, being traded a couple times. That does make a guy reflect on his game and go, okay, I need to turn some of these weaknesses into strengths. So, and, again, it's not that I don't think Höglander can get there and that he doesn't have an ideal skill set. It's just when we're already asking him to play a lot of matchup roles, on Horvat's wing, already either PP2 or PP1 time, that's already a lot on, a D+1 second round pick, plate. So to me, it's not that I don't think, in a couple of years, we're going to be sitting here talking about what a great penalty killer Höglander is for us. I just don't want to make that today.
Höglander and Podkolzin is coming. Höglander, Podkolzin, PK unit is coming.
I still think that I still don't think that Höglander should be on the PK, but Sean makes a really great point here with the Michael Grabner comparison. And Malcolm, I think, I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know why I remember this really, really clearly from the podcast a few years back when Botford was on there. He was talking about Michael Grabner, and I think he was having a very similar discussion like this with Jeff Patterson. And he was like, Grabner was in Vancouver, and Vigneault didn't like him, and he's offense only, and he doesn't kill penalties, and blah, blah, blah. Goes through the Rangers, and he's killing penalties all of a sudden. And someone asked Botch, I can't remember who was talking to Botch, but he said, someone was telling him, what's the difference between Grabner now and in Vancouver? And Botch was like, I don't know. What is the difference? I was interested to know. And then the guy's like, he's the same guy. There's literally no difference. The only difference is that he's a few years older. But, the way he plays the game actually hasn't changed. So it should just tell you that he was pretty much capable of doing the same thing back then as he was now. So I see your point with that, Sean. I'm not against that necessarily, but I just don't know if my philosophy is just a bit different on that. I think I would say, I just don't want my top players on the PK too constantly, just risk of injury, running up the ice time too much. But I like your point. I think you make a really great point. In the Michael Grabner example, there is most of the time with these guys who have, touted as offense only, and then they get later on in their career as defensive specialists. Most of the time, there's literally no difference between how they were playing the game. It's literally just a new coach and a new team, and they're a few years older, so they're veteran now. That's the only tangible difference.
Well, and to Malcolm's point, the maturing thing is real. That is a legitimate.
I'm not dismissing that for sure.
Yep. A couple years of watching other people play on the power play from the bench, seeing what the tendencies, what people do. I think you're discounting those couple years older a little much. Those couple years experience of watching the league and how it's run, I think does actually have some real tangible value there on the PK, for experience and mitigating the chance of a guy getting shell shocked, being thrown to the wall.
I'm not discounting what you're saying. Personally, I would still agree with you, Malcolm. I'd still side with you in this argument. But I just want to say that I think Sean does make a good point, and that was just an example that popped into my head because most advanced underlying analytics for Grabner were pretty much the same as he was in Vancouver as he was in New York. So I'm just saying I think more often than not is a very similar case. But I do agree, there is an immeasurable aspect of, learning the nuances of the game that you can't just measure, just be like, hey, there's no difference in this guy and that guy. So I would tend to
recall that story. I recall that story as well, as far as Grabner goes. One last comparable that I'll use, but I'll concede, I do believe that you guys are right, that it is still a little bit too early. But I think Höglander will eventually be one of the key penalty kill guys in the future.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
One last guy that I'll throw out there is Alex Burrows. How often, after he had kind of matured and had that time, was he used both on PP1 and on the penalty kill and used in all situations? I see a lot of that, to varying degrees. But with Höglander, he's got the tenacity that Burrows did. He's a smart player. I would even argue that he's got better hands than Burrows does.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Burrows would all argue that he has better hands than Burrows.
Yeah. Right.
Was Burrows on PP1 in 2011? Didn't the Canucks not?
No, he was not in 2011. Not on the power play. Remember, he got all
Right,
those
that's
goals
right.
without any power play goals.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
no, I think was he on the second unit?
But somebody
Was he
that
on
very
the
well could have.
different unit for some parts of it. Was he on the power? Was he on PP1 the whole year? I don't know. Am I remembering his name correctly? Was there like a big controversy with Burrows not being in the first power play unit for a little while, and people were really pulling their hair out?
Yeah,
to me, it was more later on when things fell off a little bit. Like, why are we trying Burrows on the power play?
Maybe I'm mashing.
But I'm pretty confident that it was that 2011 year that he infamously had all regular strength goals.
Yeah. Well, and I see a very bright future of Podkolzin and Höglander being on the PK for the Canucks for years to come, and that being kind of the shutdown forwards that we have, which I'm very excited for because I don't think people in this market quite understand how special Podkolzin's going to be. And I know I'm jumping way ahead because this is a pregame. Podkolzin's not playing tonight. He's still on the other side of the planet. But I'm excited, and I hope that, like, in situations like this is where I
Jimbo's working the phone to get him in tonight? You think Jimbo's working the phone to get Paul Colson alive tonight? We need a fourth-line Red Winger tonight, squad.
Get the time machine. Yeah, teleportation.
And pulling it back into tonight's game, just to make this a little bit more tangible, talking about Höglander on the PK, that means he's going against Connor McDavid, right? No. we know what he's got against Connor McDavid. He's not fast enough. He'll cause another penalty, hooking him or grabbing him as he skates around him. That's again
against anybody else.
Let's toss him against Ottawa or at the end of a game versus Montreal or Calgary, someone who's not playing well and test them out a little bit more. Not maybe the Edmonton Oilers power play. Again.
You know what? I agree. So before we're starting to run out close to time here, but before we shave off the last few minutes, let's flick over to Manscaped here, and then we'll jump into our bets for this evening.
I whack in the shower. Easy cleanup.
I whack while I drive.
I whack anywhere, anytime.
I whack with the Manscaped Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trim.
It has skin-safe technology that helps reduce nicks and snags.
It's waterproof. Easy cleanup.
And a 9,000 RPM motor powered by a lithium-ion rechargeable battery, so you can get a good whack in anywhere.
Head over to manscaped.com and get free shipping when you order the Weed Whacker today.
Awesome. Did you like my transition there? As we're shaving off the last few minutes, we'll go to Manscaped.
My Manscaped ad?
Through the whole ad, I'm like, yeah, that was good. That was good.
Can't wait for the guys to know there's going to be props on this one.
They're not doing it.
The early 90s and the Berlin Wall one has it for me personally, but not bad. I appreciate the attempt at a seamless transition. Yeah.
You know what? I've tried to step up my game here. I had to throw out a pair of 90s references, which the Trap, the Berlin Wall. Yeah, I had to throw it out there. Okay. It was good.
This one was better for me because the 90s one went right over my head.
Were you even alive in the 90s?
No.
Nope. That's not bad. Didn't the Berlin Wall fall in 89?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Close enough. Close enough.
Close enough.
What year were you born? He said. Now I'm
2003.
Scared. Oh boy.
I graduated from high school 2 years later.
See, I'm not that bad. I'm still much younger than Malcolm.
I'm so much younger. These years, they're longer years, aren't they?
Yeah. See, how old would I have been in 2003? I would have been I was in kindergarten in 98. So it would have been 5 more years. I would have been grade 4.
Something bad to work off?
10?
Yeah, I don't know why you went to.
Easiest way to remember this is from kindergarten.
It is, because that's 5 years old. That's easy.
Maybe you hang out with more teachers than I do, but I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know. Anytime
You're 5 in kindergarten.
I was like, how old are you? I was like, I have no idea.
No, I would have been like grade 4, somewhere in there. Listening to 50 Cent, loving the life.
All right, I guess I really am that All right, in the spirit of that, let's make some money tonight. I'm gonna go simple. The creative bets have not been my friend, so the Oilers and the over, to parlay that at 5.5 seems like pretty good for plus 225. Of course, I've gone with the double goals for both McDavid and Draisaitl. Plus 500 and plus 550. It's hard to say no to that opportunity with a weak lineup here. McDavid and the Oilers to win, and Draisaitl and the Oilers to win. So pretty vanilla bets today. I made them in the 2-minute intro as I was scrambling. But I think, maybe it's time to keep it simple with some of these. And, again, unfortunately, I don't love the Canucks chances tonight.
You're just way too negative.
I've heard that.
just way too negative.
Yeah, that's the MO.
I'll piggyback on Malcolm there, but I'll make a couple of ones. I love me some shots on goal bet. So bet the over on Horvat for 2.5 shots. He's been a shots on goal machine, especially if you get connected from a power play. Give me that, and I'll give me a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins anytime goal scorer. He's scored against the Canucks last few times we played against him. You get a plus 165 at some books, so I'll jump on a couple of those, and I think you can look at some other. There's a few other shots on goal bets that I don't totally hate, but Horvat almost is always good for the over, so get on him.
How many goals for Dry and McDavid tonight?
Sorry, what's that?
One or under is obviously a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw them shred the other night. Draisaitl hat trick. Did you guys catch the highlights to that or watch the game? Like the McDavid drop pass through the defender's
the drop
skates?
pass, John? I thought you hated that.
No. Right beside.
I know.
Yeah, right beside the net. This isn't its own entry. Yeah.
I drafted McDavid we got first overall in our fantasy league here this year. So I've been very intently watching Oilers games a lot more this season.
It's not helping me this week.
Not helping you this week. Right, getting pretty destroyed out.
I am getting destroyed right now. And then Panarin got out in the ESPN app. I hate it. It still said he was out, and then this morning he played and got points, and I was just like, I left him on the IR.
Same with the Yahoo.
I go with the score. Go with the score.
Yeah.
I find that they're updated a little bit more accurately and a little quicker, which gives me a little bit of an edge sometimes. But honestly, if you look at my fantasy pool, you're like, no, because I got so unlucky with. So on one of mine, I picked my first overall was Panarin. My first round, sorry, I picked like 5th overall. Went Panarin. The next round, I went Zibanejad.
No.
And so that went awesome. So yeah, you can tell where my fantasy pool is. Yeah, he's definitely picked it up, but it's been a rough year.
You should listen to Ace called that on our podcast before the season started. Zibanejad would be crashed this year.
Yeah.
Right? Oh man, like I really thought they would take off. Like I was so excited about it, but I don't know about you guys. I know I'm not a big. I know Malcolm, Hassan, you guys are obviously a little bit more veteran with betting. Josh, you're probably in the same boat as me.
Yeah, I've actually found a new betting site.
Did you? Is it Monkey Knife Fight?
No, it's called CDs.
That was another opportunity for a seamless.
No, that's the only one.
We don't want to hear about it.
It's called CDs.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard
how did you not see that one coming?
Come on. This is my transition. And you blew it.
I exclusively bet with Monkey Knife Fight. I don't look at other sports books. They're inferior in every way. Unless they want to
Absolutely, they are.
Unless they want to sponsor the show, then they are also very, very reputable.
Well, and you know what? We'll flip to this. The reason why Monkey Knife Fight is so great is because it is so easy. And for guys like me who are pretty new to any of this, it is this easy as shown. You pick your bet, you nail it as far as over-unders. You do player versus player prop bets. So it's very simple to use, very, very friendly. And if you use the coupon Area 51, you can get an instant match up to the first $50 deposited in your account. So visit monkeyknifefight.com, promo code Area 51, and that's free money, man. That's free money. Not this
really
Josh Slate. Not this Josh Slate. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear about it. No,
He's nuts in your mouth.
You don't want to know what it is. If it's not Monkey Knife Fight, you don't want to hear about it.
And he's muted. I just muted him. I don't want to hear about it.
If it was Brad, he would have booted him out of the conversation.
Man, I gave you redemption options, and you threw it to the ground.
MKF is great. You guys should actually for anyone who hasn't checked it out, definitely check it out. It's really, really easy to use. Like if you don't know anything about sports betting, like you see lines and numbers, and you're like, oh, this is all too confusing. Like I totally get that. Like if you're just getting into it, like there's a lot to learn about it. You don't know exactly even what you're betting on. So definitely go on MKF. Like it's super easy, and then you can get involved in any game like right away. Just pick the over-unders. Like you don't need to be some sort of sports or gambling genius to figure it out. So it's really fun. Plus, like Sean said, you sign with the code right now, you get a free $50. Go for it right now.
Yeah,
there's still time to get in on the Oilers and Canucks.
That's just it. You know what? I like the simplicity of it. You can get your toes wet. You don't have to worry about, dusting off your granddaddy's sports almanac or following all these fantasy guys.
Also, don't do that in any other betting, but
ever. That shows how new I am to all this, and that's why Monkey Knife Fight is prime for me.
Unless you can back up your DeLorean and get it up to 88 miles an hour, I don't touch this stuff. So
there you go. Malcolm, are you not using your grandpa's sports almanac to make your picks?
I need that. I was thinking about adding to the man cave your friend in time doc pick from the third, but maybe I have to go that way now.
Yeah, the Cubs are going to win the World Series. Yeah
get the almanac.
It's going to be good.
Flying cars.
Yeah. Anyways, I love the references today, guys. I love ending it on the DeLorean note here, but we'll obviously hope for a Canuck win and a big game from Thatcher Demko. Lord knows we'll need it.
I'm on full team tank here, Sean. Let's get that number one overall draft. This is the year.
Lose for Hughes, round 2.
We're going, we don't need Rhodes. Jim Benning.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that one. So let's hope for a fun game to watch.
Sure. I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
Game?
Well, but again, that probably means we're losing. I think we need a very boring game to win. If we win, the game will be boring. There's my, pick. If we win, it's going to be a boring ass game.
Let's just all hope we all our bets hit, and then we all make some money. So who cares how the game goes? That's the real thing that we all care about.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. On that note, thanks for joining the Area 51 pregame show, and go Canucks go.